Yo, what is going on, Growmies? Hope y'all are doing well, growing well. Now, Growmies, welcome back to the Raw Uncut series, episode 5. Now, Growmies, today, this episode is a little bit different. Instead of doing it all live on camera, I'm just going to record over it. But essentially, as you guys can see, we got some massive, overgrown Northern Lights Purus Indica photos, aka the Steve Murphy Afghan. Now, these photos have been vegging for I don't even know how long in those 1 gallon pots. And as you guys can see, they are an unruly mess. And we don't have one, we also have 2. But before we can get the second plant out, check this out. We got the Spider Farmer soil meter, which measures the soil EC, soil temperature, and water content, which are things I've never known until the meter told me. So that's pretty damn cool. But yeah, Growmies, we moved both the plants into the Raw Uncut series with the Watermelon Emojis, Wingsuit OGs, Platinum OGs, and all the other plants. As you guys can tell, the other plants are finally starting to get going and they're looking pretty good. And on the other side, we have the autoflower tent, which, you know, it's time for them to get moved over to the photo tent. So, Growmies, looking at these plants and then looking at the little plants, as we can see, we got a lot to take off. My goal is to defoliate these girls extremely heavily. And honestly, I'm just going to chop them in half because they need to be half the length. These plants have gotten way too tall and they're just way too much. It's going to not grow the way I want it to. So yeah, at this point, basically just chopped them in half. Looks good to me. And then from here on out, all we're doing is just taking off all the branches. And also this Raw Uncut series, this is more, it's a little bit of a, it's like a special episode, you know, it's not the true Raw Uncut, but it's a different type of episode for the Raw Uncut. So I'll decipher that somehow with like a fancy thumbnail. But as you guys can see right now, there's a whole bunch of little growth along the branches, which needs to be removed. Otherwise it's just going to keep growing there. And yeah, we don't want, you know, bushy growth all on the insides. We need good airflow. That way there's no mold or pests or anything that get inside. But yeah, also at this point too, Growmies, I don't know if you guys can see, but there are a lot of branches. Now, it's okay to leave some of those branches because new growth will come out of those branches. But at this point, we're taking off all the crazy, dirty, old, nasty looking growth. That way we can clean this plant up. And yeah, Growmies, as you guys can tell right now, we basically just have some bamboo sticks with a little bit of vegetation going. Right now, I'm mainly focused on just continuing to remove the lower branches, which we don't need at all, one by one. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, do it by scissors, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter. You can do it with your hand. If you don't have HLVD on your hand, I promise you, you're fine. And if you don't buy infected seeds, you're also fine. So, but yeah, nothing to worry. There's nothing wrong with just using your hands, you know? No big deal, Growmies, trust me. Unless you're in a massive facility and you have a whole bunch of seeds and you can't infect the population, you know, use sterile scissors and sterilize it in between every cut. That's technically what you should do. But we're not in that situation. We're just growing at home, just the way, normal way, you know, there's nothing else to think about. You know, but we're just growing at home, so it's not that big of a deal. We're just going to use our hands. Anyways, we're continuing to remove the growth. And I wanted to do this, you know, pretty much all uncut. I think that only cut beforehand was just because I needed to get the camera angle right, but I didn't do any steps in between. So anyways, continuing to work on these plants. Still same old thing. We got a whole bunch of growth all around. Honestly, yeah, I was going to say that branch looks way too tall. I should chop that. Thank goodness I did because it was long. And we also want these plants to have a nice even canopy. If they have extra branches that are extra long, you know, it's not going to really work out. So yeah, still got a whole bunch of little growth in there. Removing it, getting rid of the bigger branches as well. I basically just want to start fresh at this point. I'm not going to lie. That was a nice branch, but it's alright. We're going to take that one off too. We want this plant to be ultra clean, uniform. No, we just want it to be as perfect as possible. So we want to start with the fresh canopy. And I guess a better way to say it would be like a fresh canvas. So Growmies, we basically just need a blank canvas. And at least in my head, that'll make it the easiest way to start training this plant and shaping it exactly how I want to. Now at this point, let's see, we're taking a little break. Let's see what happens. Yo, leave a comment down below, Growmies. Do you like this style of this random episode? Okay, I think we're done with that plant. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for that plant. Let's go ahead and look at the second one. So same thing with the second pierced indica plant. It's got a lot of little lower growth that I'm removing right now. And quite aggressively, I'm removing that growth. But as you can see, those branches, they're just already so overgrown, they're flopping over. So it makes sense to chop them and get them down. Also, Growmies, a lot of, the biggest thing that I see from comments all over the whole internet, and I would say the biggest facade of the internet, and facade told across the world, is that old genetics are not strong. And I'm like, dude, these seeds are literally preserved from before 1980s. So these are insanely unique time capsule seeds. And dude, I love to grow these plants. The potency is unparalleled. Not gonna lie, the more you cross plants, the further down the lineage you get from the original plant's full strengths. So for example, let's say you have this massive burger forest, like 15, 20, like hundreds of terpenes going on, like a terpene bomb explosion. By the time you keep breeding out those other plants that display the trait the strongest for certain aromas, you end up losing as you isolate. So the cool thing about the original strains is it's the primary colors. It's the base of the pyramid. It's where all the other strains started. But yeah, as we can see, it took off quite a bit. There's the plants now, a lot more even. And ideally, that's how we want all the plants in the tent to look, somewhat like this. I might cut that middle branch right there when I get back to it. But yeah, for now, that's how I'm going to train these plants. Leave a comment if you guys are excited to see the 1980s Purest Indica Steve Murphy Afghan. And then also, I think another thing that's cool is we're going to be able to compare an old school 1980 genetic compared to the most hype genetics of today. But anyways, Growmies, that's the video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like and comment. If you guys haven't seen my other grow/smoke reports, check those out. Keep it up out there, Growmies, and stay motivated in this beautiful medicinal hobby. #GrowMeGang.